Salam alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Good to see you. How are you?
Good.
That's good. How was your day?
Good.
Yeah. Anything I need to know about?
Mm-mm.
Ready to get started?
Mm-hmm.
Got a lot for you. So we begin as usual with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And we ask Allah to guide us in this conversation, in this teaching session, so that both of us walk away from here today having learned something new. I'm always trying to introduce you to something new, and when I do, I happen to learn new things myself. So I thank you for that. You bring that out of me. You look all excited and perky today. Is that your Bruce Lee face? What is this? You about to go to battle with somebody? What's going on where you are, man? Somebody bothering you, man? Do I need to come out there? All right, get started. Let's start with your homework. Start whenever you're ready.
How long can a human live in the dark? On a physiological level, humans can survive in the dark just fine as long as we have food, clean water, and can stay warm. In other words, the same requirements in sunlight.
All right, very good. Did you come across anything that says what would happen to your eyes or to your vision if you're in the dark for a certain amount of time? Have you come across anything like that?
It would, it was like 45 minutes or 5 minutes. Your photosynthetic things, your senses, and everything would come along. No, I didn't see anything. It said that your pupils or something in that time would take the maximum amount of light it can find in your pupils to work.
All right. All right. Good. Let's try this one.
What did I do for my mom and dad? I peeled potatoes for my mom. 2, I chopped potatoes for my mom. 3, I gave my dad a fork.
Ah, okay. You have a very good memory to remember that you gave your dad a fork. That's a good memory there.
What
All
did
right,
I do?
keep going.
What did I do for MAHDI? 1, I eat more. 2, I'm more observative. 3, I'm more quiet.
Okay, let's change one of those words in number 2. Instead of saying observative, you should say observant. Okay, so you'll change it on your side and you'll resend that one to me when you get a chance, okay? Now let's go to the third entry here.
What is the IDs of March? By the way, IDs is actually spelled IDES of March.
That's correct. Did I spell it wrong?
Yeah, you spelled it wrong the first time.
Okay. My apologies. Now, let me come back at you with my jab. This word is actually pronounced IDs, not IDs.
Oh, I thought I wasn't saying it right.
Now we're even, Mahdi. You got me, I got you. Yeah, it's of course it's not a word that people use all of the time, so you kind of have to already know how to pronounce it and probably even how to spell it because nobody pronounces and spells this word anymore. All right, go ahead.
The 74th day in the Roman calendar corresponding to 15th of March. It was marked by several religious observances and was a deadline for settling debts in Rome. In 44 BC, it became notorious as the date of the assassination of Julius Caesar, which made the Ides of March.
Ides.
Oh, Ides of March, turning point in Roman history. Information retrieved from Wikipedia.
Very good, very good. And did you know that Julius Caesar became so famous that they actually ended up naming a month after him. Do you know what month that was?
Wait.
Look at his name. Look at his name.
June?
Look at his name and pronounce it.
Julius
So
Caesar.
what month would Julius have given us?
July?
Absolutely. I'm going to give you one more guy in history, in Roman history, who we have a month named after. His name, now if you don't get this, MAHDI, I'm going to shut the class down. Huh?
Augustus?
Yeah. And what month is that?
August.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
read him before in
Great.
Roman history, so I thought it was just
Yeah. Did you know that before these two guys came into the calendar, our annual year was only 10 months long? There weren't always 12 months in a year. You can look into that on your own. But when Julius, Caesar, and Augustus got into the picture, that's when our annual year became 12 months long. Exciting, isn't it?
yeah.
I see the excitement in your face, the glow, the eyes. I see the excitement. I'm messing with you. I know you had a long day of school and work and all of that. All right, so we're going to come out of this and we're going to jump right into the lesson for today. 1 minute. We're going to be talking today about water and emotions. Water. And as you know, in the past, I've compared water to emotions as a symbol for emotion. So I'm going to ask you to start reading. You might not understand everything that's on the page, but we'll talk about it after you read it. I'm going to let you read it all of the way through. Read emotion first. And when you see these little letters next to it, you know what that means, right? That N, the N.
Noun,
Yeah,
verb,
there you go. Okay. So when you read the word, just say noun after the word. So the people in the audience know what you're talking about. Go right ahead.
emotion, noun. 1570s. A social moving, stirring agitation. From French emotion, 16C. From Old French émouvoir,
Émouvoir.
émouvoir, stir up, 12C. From Latin émover,
Émouvere.
émovere, move out,
Of course, I'm guessing at the pronunciation.
out, remove, agitate. From assimilated form of X, out, CX, plus move, mover, to move. Sense of strong feeling is first recorded 1650s, extended to any feeling by 1808.
Okay, so just to sum that one up before you go on to the word feel, all they're really saying is that emotion means to stir stuff up. And it's something that moves out. So they're saying that X means to go out, and mover or moveri or however they pronounce it means to move. So it means to move out. That's what emotions do. They move things out. They don't bring things in. They move things out. Continue.
Feel, verb. Old English feeling, felon. To touch or have sensory experience of, perceive, sense something. In light Old English, have a mental perception. From Proto-Germanic.
Good. All right, don't worry about all that. Go straight to this meaning right here.
Fuhlin, to feel.
Good.
Old Norse falma, to grope, which is uncertain origin, possibly from a pal, to touch, feel, shake, strike softly. Source also of Greek selene, to
Good.
pluck the harp, or pie root, pill, to thrust, strike, drive.
Okay, so you see that when you go into the history of these words, they come from all over the place, and sometimes they mean things other than what you thought they meant. I mean, who would think that feel means to thrust or to strike or to drive, right? But this is the way language develops. Now, I don't think you know what PIE stands for. It means Proto-Indo-European.
Nope, I don't think I knew that.
Okay, well, I want you to repeat it so you remember it when you get to school. Proto,
Proto,
Indo,
Indo,
European.
European, Proto,
So,
Indo,
hmm?
Proto, Indo, European.
There you go. Now let's talk about what proto means. So wherever you see it again, you'll know exactly what they're talking about. Okay. Proto means that it came first. It's almost like saying primitive. All right. So this is from a Proto-Indo-European word. And Indo-European, what land do you think the prefix Indo comes from?
Indo, in,
Give me the land. Give me the country that comes from.
Indo,
Mm-hmm.
Indonesia,
Close. A
in,
shorter word.
India.
Yeah, you get it. All right. So this was during a period in history when India and parts of Europe were doing things together. They were exchanging languages, especially together. So those languages came to be called Indo-European. But before they actually established the language for sure, what they were saying and doing and writing down before Indo-European became official, that's called Proto-Indo-European. Every language has its proto language. Okay.
Mhm.
That means nothing to you right now, but you're going to look back at this video in 2 years and say, wow, Instructor Bilal taught me that. Now that I'm learning it in this higher grade, but you would have known it a couple of years before the rest of your classmates. Now, that's what that means. All right. So look at this meaning right here for feel. It says have a mental perception. What does that mean?
Uh, like it's like mentally perceiving something,
Okay, but you're giving me the
or
words. What is mental? What does that mean? Where is that taking place?
in your head.
Exactly. So what is perception?
It's kind of like comprehend or something.
Exactly. Yeah. Comprehend, perceive how you see things, but here. Okay. So this dictionary is saying that feel is related to having a mental perception. Now, if I'm having a mental perception with somebody else who's standing or sitting right next to me in the same room, would they know what I'm thinking or feeling in my head?
No.
No. So you're saying that feelings are not something that other people can see, and that the only one who knows what you're feeling is you. Is that what you're telling me based on what you just gave
Oh,
me as an
well,
answer?
every feeling. I mean, you can, if you look at somebody and you look at them with like you look at them with about jealousy, they can't know, but with some feelings like sadness, sometimes you can cry or something like that and they will mentally perceive that you are sad because only people that are sad cry usually, but sometimes when you cry it's like cry of joy or cry of anger or something.
Mhm. That's a great explanation. But I want to show you the difference between feelings and emotions. You ready for this?
Okay.
Okay. Let's talk about this first, and then I'll weave the answer into my next statement. Go right ahead.
Emotions are a part of our human intelligence and is rooted in our instinctive drives.
Okay, stop there for a minute. Emotions are a part of our human intelligence. Now, the reason why I put that at the top is because when you start reading about what the triune brain is down here, the first one is the neocortex, which is this top layer, all of this layer that my arrow is pointing to. That's all the neocortex at the top of the brain. But this definition says that it is intelligence, and that's incorrect. This is not intelligence.
It's
This
intellect.
is You got it, my friend. You're a great learner. I love you for that. All right. So we'll make that mental adjustment when we get to that. But let us say this first, that emotions comes after you have feelings for something. When you're feeling a certain way, you remember that
Oh,
lesson? You remember? Can you finish my sentence? How do we know the difference between feelings and emotions? Or when do feelings become emotions is the real question.
your emotions are already intact. They just haven't been activated yet. You know, if you're standing there with nothing, with just sitting there, nothing in front of you, you know, blank. Your head is blank. Your emotions are still intact. They're just not, activated it. When you if let's just say a puppy appears to you, like a very cute puppy,
Mhm.
looks right at you
Yeah,
with big eyes and
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
The first feeling, the feeling, not emotion, you're gonna have is gonna be, oh, that is cute. Look at its big eyes.
And
You're gonna,
how would you let people who are looking at you know that you're really enjoying looking at this puppy and its big eyes?
you will run to it and pet it, tickle
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. So let's make this distinction just so that we're clear. I can look at that same puppy and not show any facial expression, but in my mental self, in my mind, in my head, like you said, I could still be saying, boy, I wish I had that puppy as a pet, but I don't have to show that on my face, right? Let's say you're standing there with your mom or somebody who said, well, we can't have puppies in our apartment because the landlord, and they go through all of that. So you don't want to show like, I really want this puppy because you don't want your mother to think you're going to ask her to buy this puppy, right? But in your head, your feelings are saying to you, nobody else, just you, oh, what a cute puppy. You know what I mean? Inside your head, though. Now, if your face starts expressing itself as though it wants that puppy, as though it loves looking at that puppy, it wants to pick the puppy up, you hold your arms out, the puppy comes jumping in your lap, and puppies are licking in the face and all that. Now you're showing your emotions towards the puppy. So, what are the difference between your feelings, which nobody has to know about until you tell them about it, and your emotions? What's the difference between what you're feeling in your head, what you're thinking mentally, and then what you're doing when you show emotions? What's the difference?
when you when you have feelings, or when you have emotions, you look at the puppy, and when you start to show them your emotions, they go outward. They don't stay inside. They go outwards.
Very good. Perfectly
And
explained.
their feelings, it's like when you feel something, when you touch it, when if you touch an eraser, when you touch the eraser, you don't have to show any emotion. But if the eraser, like, there's a little prick in it or something,
Uh-huh.
and you touch it or something, you'll hurt, and then you show one of your emotions, like,
Yeah.
ow, and
Yeah.
then, or sometimes, you could just have the feeling, just like, boop,
Right.
and then, you don't have to, show anything. You just have to, touch it, but somebody knows that you just got poked. But yeah,
That's
emotions.
great. You're giving me great explanations tonight. This is great. I like this. But
It's
that's
like,
true. That's right. Go ahead.
and when also I noticed that when you say emotions and feelings,
Hmm.
feelings, it doesn't show an if you show an emotion, but emotions show motion, because motions are in, the word motion is in the word
Right.
mo-
And what is motion? What's another word for motion? I didn't hear you.
movement.
Yeah. And what does the letter E stand for? If you remember that lesson?
E-
Let me refresh your memory.
Was it
That letter. Look at it. Tell me what it's doing.
well as
How do you
three
draw
lines?
this? Where would you start? If you were drawing this on a page, what part of this letter would you start from when you draw it?
The line.
Which line? There are four of them.
The, the straight line, the one that goes down.
There you go. There you go. And then what?
And then the top line.
That's right. Then what?
Bottom line, then third line, and the last line.
That's right. Now let me tell you a secret. E means that which goes out. When you start from that straight line, all three of these lines have to go outward. See, that's why the word exit begins with an E also. Okay? Evaluate. See, all of these words that have E at the beginning of them, they represent something that's going out, not coming in, but going out. So when you see words like exit, you compare them with words that begin with IN. EX is the opposite of IN. So IN would mean what?
Inner.
Inner, that's right. Something that's going in or coming in, right? But EX means that which is coming out.
External, internal.
Yes, there you go. There you go. All right, good. So that's your E. Let's take that away. So it's motion going outward. It's the motion that you're feeling from your feelings. Your feelings are moving inside you, you see? And then you decide to allow those feelings that first are inside your head. It's mental. Now you want to express, see, express those feelings so that they're no longer just inside of you as inner feelings, but they become expressed as emotions. That movement now has left your head and you either express it through your hands, things that you do, your actions, or your words. Emotions are even words. If you tell somebody how you're really feeling in words,
that's emotion.
that's emotion. That's right. You are emoting your feelings. You're taking that which was in you and you're expressing it so that somebody else can receive it. Good or bad. It could be good emotions and it could be not so good emotions. If it comes out of you through your mouth or through your actions, then it becomes emotions. All right, so begin to read the information on the triune brain. You've gone through this before in other pictures, but we're going to use this one for today. Go right ahead.
Mammalian brain, the triune brain, neo-mammalian brain, neocortex, intelligence, reason, self-awareness, analysis, planning, forebrain, paleo-mammalian, limbic, emotions, imagination, dreams, rewards, pleasure, and pain, reptilian, midbrain, reptilian, cerebellar,
Good.
instincts, survival, breathing, HR, fight and flight, involuntary reflex.
Okay, stop there for a moment. All right. So up here where the forebrain is, that's one development. Beneath it is that midbrain that you were talking about. And beneath that is that hindbrain. Okay. So which one of these three parts of the brain controls the emotions?
Motion, paleo mammalian.
That's right. Okay.
Limbic.
Yeah. So now exactly. So let's look at the difference between what they're calling neo-mammalian. Some people pronounce it mammalian. It doesn't matter. It's still the same. And paleo-mammalian or mammalian. Do you know what neo means?
New.
Yeah, that's right. New. Exactly. Okay. Have you ever seen The Matrix? Probably not.
Yeah, Neo,
Oh,
the guy.
you did? Yeah. Well, he was the main character, Neo, right? Because he was coming with something new. So Neo, that's what that means. So paleo is going to be the opposite of Neo. So what would paleo mammalian mean?
Old.
Yeah. Oh, sometimes ancient. All right. So they're both associated with the mammalian brain. So
Wait,
now we need to know what mammalian or mammalian is. What is that?
mammal. No,
Yes, yes. What is a mammal? Oh, you can teach
mammal.
the rest of this class, man. Go ahead.
Mammal is a mammal is a animal with hair or that breathe. That breathes, gives gives live birth,
Yeah.
breastfeeding and stuff like that. Feeds from milk.
Yes. You just said it all right there. Okay. These are animals that feed from what are called mammary glands on their mother. Mammary glands, her breasts are called mammaries. So any creature who feeds off of their mother's breast is called a mammal. And that includes human beings. Okay. So the reason why the neocortex here is under the heading of neo or new mammal is because the human being is the newest mammal on the planet, according to this science.
Because it has planning, analysis, and reason.
That's right. And the lower species of creatures or animals or the lower
Oh,
species, they don't have that. They can't do that. They can't
they
reason. They can't be rational.
they
They can't.
can't have
Mhm.
paleo mammalian.
No. The paleo mammalian can do these things here, but the paleo mammalian, which is just the regular mammals, like the dog and the horse and those regular mammals, they can't reason and they're not self-aware. They can't analyze things and they can't plan what they're going to do tomorrow. That's already clocked into their nature, how to do that. And it's clocked into their nature, even how to feel about things emotionally. So
Okay.
if you snatch a mother dog's puppy, she's gonna feel a certain way about that. She's gonna come after you, right?
Mhm.
Even a mother bird will come and try to peck you in the neck if you try to do anything to her little baby birds.
Even get
Because
near it, they will run after you. They will fly after you.
you know better than I do because you're there with the chickens and all those other animals, right? So yeah, they're gonna, but that behavior, those emotions, those feelings, and that become emotions, they're already clocked into the DNA of those animals to respond like that. See? So they really don't have a choice in regards to that. That's how Allah created them to respond. But the human being can respond like that or not respond like that. So amongst human beings, there are some people who are foolish enough to abuse their children instead of taking care of them, like the chicken takes care of her chicks, and like the dog takes care of her puppies, and like the horse takes care of her young colt. Animals are going to do that because animals are programmed for that. Human beings are programmed to do good, but human beings are the only ones among these creatures who can also make independent choices that actually go against the way Allah created them to behave. Can you explain that back to me? The difference between the regular mammals and the human mammal?
Okay. So the the paleo mammalian limbic brain, the, they can have pleasure and pain and all that thing. But the thing they can't have is planning and self awareness and reason. Because have you ever seen a dog walk up to you and think it's like if you know that story where the dog walks across the bridge or it's walking across the bridge because he has a piece of butcher meat and he's going to enjoy it. He looks into the pond water and he sees another dog with a piece of meat, and he wants that piece of meat too.
Mhm.
So the pleasure, the paleo mammalian brain wants that. He wants the pleasure. He wants the reward. So he barks at it.
Mm.
But then he loses his own piece of meat due to it.
Yeah, right.
So the difference between a human and a dog is because if a human does walk across the bridge and he sees another person with a piece of meat or something, I don't know, like a burger or something, um, he wouldn't, you know, like look into the pod and bark or something like that. No, he would, plan and reason and I wouldn't, drop, let go of my burger to get another person's burger. And also, that's water. There's nobody there. It's just fish. So yeah.
Yeah. So the human would reason his way out of that. The human might say, well, I have a fishing pole at home. I'll just go home, get my fishing pole, and I'll come back out to the bridge and do my own fishing instead of taking the fish from the other man who just got finished fishing. Right. So we don't have to be animalistic in our behavior and do what we see animals do, because Allah gave the human being something above what he gave most of the animals. And that is the ability to think and reason and also make moral decisions. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So you're absolutely correct. That's the difference between the intellect of the neo-mammalian, the one who's holding the neocortex brain, and the paleo-mammalian, who has the limbic brain, which is controlling emotions, not intellect, emotions. Animals do not have internal election going on in their brains. They're not choosing right and wrong based on what's good and bad, moral. They're not making moral decisions. Their decisions are based on how Allah has already clocked that behavior into their DNA. And then lastly, you have the reptilian, right?
Mhm.
The cerebellar, they're calling it. And
Mm,
they're,
instinct.
that's right. And instincts are automatic because an animal, or a creature in this case, needs to survive. So human beings have all three of these brains. So we can operate with our intellect, we can operate with our emotions, or we can choose to operate instinctively, especially when we think our survival is being threatened.
Especially like reflex or in
Yeah,
dodgeball, you look at a ball and you see it coming towards you. What do you think you're gonna do?
yeah,
Stand there and wait for it to come? No, you're gonna try to dodge it.
that's right. And it'll be
Run.
split second, right? Split second. That's what the instincts do. They don't give you time to feel a certain way about it or to think what you're going to do about it. It'd be too late. Your eye will be missing from that hard ball coming at you. So you have to do things split second. That's how reptiles are, because they're operating based on that instinctive brain. And people are the same way under the circumstances you just pointed out, that if something's coming at you, sometimes you'll move out of danger's way in split second timing, right? So you're absolutely right. Can you give me another example of how we operate instinctively? Humans now. How do humans operate instinctively? Under what circumstances? Give me another example.
Oh, so if you're in nature or something, if you're in the jungle or something, you would you know, you're not going to, walk around like you would in the city and pretend everything is normal. No, no one would do that unless you're unable. But anyway, they would, if they knew anything, they would do the best of their knowledge to survive. Like, if you see, let's say, uh, like something you could eat, you're not just gonna stand there and wait for, you're not just gonna stand there and look at it and then think, I really would like to eat that, but I'm not gonna waste the time to, go and get it because I can go to the city and shop for it. No, you're not in the city. So You're
Okay,
surviving.
you're thinking when you do that. I'm talking about reactions that won't allow you time to think. Tell me about how you would react instinctively to something that happens around you.
If a man is running at you like full speed, no reason, and he looks like he wants to run into you, like full speed as fast as this man can go, like I don't know, something like that. He runs towards you with looking at you to the eye, you know, you're not just gonna stand there and let him run over you. You're gonna move to the side or try to or run
Yeah,
away because
absolutely.
you do not want this guy, like if you have a coffee or something like that, nobody likes water or any type of liquid to drip or spill
Yeah.
all over their clothing.
Hmm.
Usually, nobody does.
Yeah, so that's an instinctive move when you get out of the way. And you're doing it for survival because you don't know if this guy hits you, you might fall and hit your head and die or, not be right for the rest of your life. So Allah clocked those responses into our DNA. And before you know it, it's like there are people who will tell you that they've saved other people's lives and they don't know, they don't see themselves as heroes. But all of a sudden, somebody was stuck in between two cars. A car hit another car and there was a person in between. And there are people who have actually gone and moved the car with their bare hands, pushed the car back. I don't know. And they say, I don't know how they did it. See? Or they stopped a bad guy from, stabbing somebody, trying to rob them. And they went up there and they didn't see themselves as heroes. And they say, I don't know. If I had time to think about it, they say, I probably wouldn't have done it. But it was their instincts, those instincts that Allah clocked into them that made them respond that way. See? Let's move on because we got quite a bit more to cover. I may have to keep you just a couple of minutes longer if you can spare it to get through most of what we have today. You're doing great, though. Now, let's reiterate what the difference is between the intellect and the intelligence. Read those meanings there for intellect.
Intellect, intellection, choice making, choosing, operating in the conscious mind.
Okay,
Intelligence.
stop there. Okay. So the IN, remember we said that means something coming in, and EX means something going out. So intellect has to do with things coming into the mind. And once those things are in the mind, then the mind is able to make an election. See, an internal or inner election. So INT means internal, and ELLECT is the same as election. So intellect means inner election or choices that you're making inside your head. All right. So it's choice making, it's choosing, and it's operating in what's called the conscious. Con means with something, and chis means choice. You can hear how similar those sounds are. Choose, chis, choice. They're all basically the same idea. Making distinctions and choosing the better over the worse, choosing the good over the bad, choosing the clean over the filthy. Those are choices that are normally made in the human intellect. That's why Allah gave us an intellect to be able to make those choices and choose the best. So you have a lot of people now who make choices and then they choose the worst. They say this is righteousness and this is sin and wickedness. I'm going to choose sin today. They make crazy choices now, but Allah didn't give you the intellect to make bad choices. He gave us the intellect so that we'll make the proper choices. Now give us the meaning for intelligence.
Inner communication coming from the genes.
Good. So we know the IN means inner. Which part of this means communication?
Tele, like
Yeah,
telephone.
there you go. Can you give me one more tele word? You said telephone. Give me one more tele word.
Intel? Wait, no, tele.
Well, yeah. Intel is internal communication, between a particular company or the FBI or something. They have intel. So yeah, I never thought about that one, but I'll use that from now on. But there's another word that was used way before you were born.
Tell?
Well, no, people still do this. They send telegrams.
Oh, Telegram.
Yeah, like we do Instagram, so we don't do telly anymore. But people also do telegraphs. They used to do telegraphs, right? If you were in the Navy or something and you had to send a message to your base or to your superiors, you would sometimes use a telegraph and you would tap out certain codes like
Morse code.
Morse code. There you go. All right. And you're sending a telegraph. All right. But the idea is that tele always means communication. Always. So in tele is inner communication. And then what is gents?
Genes.
Genes. That's right. So it's the inner communication that Allah created inside you. This is in your body. You have intelligence in your genes. That's what this is saying. And what you have in your DNA and your RNA, it communicates to you. It communicates to your intellect. It communicates to your emotions. But it's in your cells. It's in your body. Intelligence is in your body. Your parents don't give you your intelligence. They help you develop your intellect, but they do not give you your intelligence because they did not create your gens or your genes. See? Your intellect is a product of your environment. The way you grow up, the people that influence you, the kind of music you listen to, that's all in the environment. And your parents and your teachers can actually help you shape your environment so that you're encouraged to go in the right direction. But because your parents or your teachers didn't create your genes, then Allah was in control of all of the things that you're doing that are intelligent. Because on your own, you know that if trouble is down the block that way, you want to go in the opposite direction. Now, people might say, yeah, but you learn that in the environment. You don't learn that through the genes. Oh, yes, you do. And the way you know that is by studying the newborn baby. The newborn baby is born wanting to get away from everything that frustrates it or that it thinks is dangerous. If it thinks that it's starving because it's hungry, it's going to yell at the top of his little newborn lungs. That's in his intelligence. Nobody taught him that. Say again.
Blocks.
Say that one more time.
If it's hungry, some child is like, I don't know, I'm hungry. I don't want to wait. I'm gonna eat some blocks.
Yeah, they'll put anything in their mouths if you let them, right? But they'll know the difference between food and toys. I bet you that if they're hungry. All right. So let's move past this. Doing well. Now we're going to talk about feelings and emotions again to make sure that we understand what's being said. Go right ahead.
Feelings develop when information touches any of our five basic senses. Our central nervous system registers feelings, and when these feelings are expressed through our words and or our actions, they become emotions.
All right. So what are your five basic senses?
Touch, smell, hearing, sight, taste.
There you go. Five basic senses. And science will tell you now that you actually have more than five basic senses. Some will tell you that you have dozens of senses, but the reason why we say five basic senses is that even if you have other supersensory possibilities, they're still going to be based on one or more of those five basic senses. Did you understand?
Crane.
A crane?
It just landed in our pond.
A crane?
Yeah.
Man, that's Kentucky for real, isn't it? Have your camera phone ready for that kind of moment. All right, but let me go back to what I just said. You have more than five senses. Did you hear me say that?
Yep.
However, all of those extra senses are still going to be based on one of those five senses. So let me give you an example. Let's say it's Thanksgiving morning. and you're going shopping with your mom for Thanksgiving dinner. Even while she's in the supermarket and she's buying the materials of the ingredients for the sweet potato pie or the pumpkin pie or whatever, and she's buying the turkey and the dressing, and you can almost start tasting that as she's picking the stuff up out of the supermarket. All right. Because since you know what it tastes like, it creates a mental image. And that mental image, remember, that's what creates feelings, right?
It's like when you look at something sour and you know it's sour, you're
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, I want to eat this," and
Yeah.
then your starts. No, it's like you get this weird feeling in your tongue. It's like, "Ooh."
Yeah. Or somebody could be telling you a story about somebody who ate something sour, right? And your whole face is scrounged up like you smelled it as they were talking about it, even though you didn't smell it. But that was a super sensory experience you were having. So yeah, you gave me a great and accurate description right there. All right. So you begin with the feelings. Feelings are the products of thoughts. So it begins with thoughts. Thoughts become feelings. And then feelings become what?
Emotion.
Yes. So give me those three things again.
Thoughts become feelings. Feelings become feelings become emotions.
You got it. All right. Let's keep going.
Our feelings are receiving communication from our instincts, and our instincts are committed to helping us survive.
Okay. Read that one more time, a little slower.
Our feelings are receiving communication from our instincts, and our instincts are committed to helping us survive.
Okay. So we're still talking about the triune brain. We're still talking about the neocortex over here on the right. Do you want to go out there and take a picture of your brain while it's still out
Oh,
there? Huh?
I've seen it a lot.
Okay. Now I need you to pay more attention here
Okay.
since you're not over there. All right. All right. That crane probably has its own webinar that it's trying to get to. I love birds too. Believe me, I love them like you do, and they fascinate me when I see them. All kinds of creatures fascinate me, though. You know, I'd rather go outside and stare at the birds or the squirrels running up and down the tree. I'd rather do that than watch sports. Because for me, that's like my idea of sports. You know, watching the squirrel run away with the nut, or that kind of thing, or watching the squirrels argue with each other. You know, they're animals; they argue with each other, right? Dogs bark at each other. That fascinates me to watch animal behavior. So I'm with you on that. I understand. All right. Now we have the neocortex, then we have the midbrain, then we have the reptilian brain. Okay. So what does the neocortex control again?
Talk, think, move, create, learn,
Great. What does the midbrain control?
feel, remember, interact with others.
Great. And what does the reptilian brain control?
Survive, react, repeat, repeat, repeat.
All right. Now, what is the other name that they gave to the neocortex? What kind of mammalian?
Neo-mammalian.
All right. And what is the other mammalian name that they gave to the midbrain or the limbic brain?
Paleo mammalian.
Yeah. All right. And what does neo mean?
Neo, new,
Yeah. And what does paleo mean?
old.
Yeah. Great. All right. And obviously, the word reptile is related to the word repeat. Rep, reap, repeat, reptile. They're from the same source because the reptilian brain repeats things over and over and over again. Why is that important for survival? That you
Because
repeat things over and over again.
if you were to say, repeating feeding the animals over and over again, I mean, you have to repeat that or else they'll die and you can't eat them and they'll spoil and that kind of thing. Because
Yeah.
you have to repeat some things to survive.
Okay. Now let me give you a bigger challenge than that. What behaviors do you have to repeat over and over again in order to survive?
Behavior.
Mm-hmm. Things that you do, things that you have to do in order to survive.
Eating, drinking.
Yeah, there you go. Keep going. You should have a list of
Eat,
those.
eating, drinking, walking, crouching, crawling, sleeping,
Yeah, those are all instinctive behaviors.
sneezing, coughing, licking,
Mm-hmm. That's right.
tasting,
That's right. You got it.
jumping, climbing,
Mm-hmm.
swimming.
Mm-hmm. Resting. You said sleeping, but resting also, right? You have to rest. Those are instinctive behaviors that are clocked into your DNA for you to perform, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not, you're going to have to go to sleep at some point. Whether you like it or not, you're going to have to eat food at some point and drink water at some point. If we don't do those things, what happens?
We die.
That's right. If we're denied those things, what happens? You might want them, but then somebody over you says you can't have it.
We still die.
That's right. So those behaviors have to be repeated over and over again from the beginning of your life, all of the way to the end of your life. These behaviors have to be satisfied. They have to be carried out, or else the human being will become injured, sick, or dead. And they say, choose your poison, right? So that's what that reptilian brain is doing. There's nothing evil about your instinctive brain. It's there to save you. All right. Let's see if we can get through a little more of this. We're creeping up on water as emotion. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Go for it.
Water seeks movement, and all movement creates energy. Our emotions must also move. We move our emotions when making moral decisions. Movement, water, is often self-cleansing.
Yeah.
Moving.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So explain back to me what I'm trying to explain to you when I say that emotions move when we're making moral decisions. What is a moral decision in your opinion?
Moral.
Yeah. Give me an example of you, Mahdi, making a moral decision to do something or to not do something.
What does moral mean? I feel like I know it. It's just that I just
Okay. Yeah. And you do know it. And when I explain this, you're going to jump right on it. Watch. Okay. Let's say you're at school and your buddies said, when we go for lunch, we're not going to come back for our afternoon classes. We're going to cut classes so that we can run in the park and play. And
so good and bad decisions.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah. How would you make what moral decision would you make in that scenario?
I would not skip afternoon class because that is dangerous for
Good word.
my emotions when I get home and my mom looks at me and the teacher's already there. Oh, my emotions just about fall out of me.
Yes, indeed. You got that right. You feel a big lump in your throat, right? Nope. You know something's going to happen that's not going to be too cool. That's right. So that's what moral is. It's just simply the ability to make the right decision. That's all it is. The ability to make the right decision. All right. So when you make the right decision, your emotions are moving. See, they move away from you saying, oh man, we can go play in the park. And then you start thinking morally and you say, oh, we can't do that because I might get in trouble. So your emotions moved just like water moves. Am I explaining that okay for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving water is often self-cleansing. So if I had some debris, some garbage, or somebody threw a bottle in this river here, because the river is constantly moving, what's going to happen to the debris and to the bottle and to the paper, whatever else they dumped in there?
Gonna go away.
Yeah,
Usually. Unless
you
like
do. Yeah.
if it gets stuck, well, I mean, it might stay there for a while, but
True. And we'll see an example for that in a minute. All right. But on the most part, if the water continues to move, you have a good situation. Okay. Continue reading. I knew this picture wasn't far behind, but continue.
and water stands still, filth has an opportunity to collect there. When we become immoral, filthy ideas will collect in mind.
Okay. So you pronounce this amoral.
Immoral.
Right. So in a lot of English words that begin with the letter A, the A means not. So when we become not moral, that's when filthy ideas will collect in the mind. Okay, just remember that. We'll go over a bunch of A words in the future that mean not or no. Amoral, apolitical, asexual, a lot of words in English that begin with A, and the A means not. It means the exact opposite of what the word is saying. So you're either moral if you're not paying attention to your morals and you're doing things that are immoral and you don't care that you're doing things that are immoral. It's when you don't care that it becomes amoral. Apolitical means I don't care about politics. I never vote. I don't care who's running. See, that's apolitical. It's not like the person who might have voted for a dastardly candidate or something, or a candidate that's stealing money. You're still being political when you vote for them, even if it's the wrong person. But if you don't vote at all and you say I'm turned off to the whole thing, then you're apolitical. And that's your choice. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. So we're talking about how morals become filthy. It becomes filthy most of the time when you become amoral and you really don't care one way or another about morals. Now, we're not talking about politics and other things. Now, we're talking about morals, deciding what's good and bad and right and wrong in your life. When you don't even think about it, like, I don't care what's good for me. Well, what about when you graduate from high school? I don't care if I don't graduate. See, when you start saying, I don't care, that's when the mind becomes amoral.
Amorally political.
Well, okay, you can put it together the way you want, as long as you understand what I'm saying, and you do. All right. So that's the collection of garbage. So the only real way, like a river or an ocean, can become filthy like this is if it's like in just an overabundance of filthy stuff. And it's the same thing for the human mind. The only way a person can become a terrible person, an evil person, is because they keep letting filth into their mind. They
If you
can't.
fish, if you fish are dead too.
Oh, believe that. Believe
Like
that.
you can
That
see
water
it.
there is toxic. That's right.
If you look right, like if you look close to the middle with that big white paddle thing, and you look more to the right,
Mm-hmm.
no, the paddle,
The
like
paddle. Where are we? On the right side here?
this white plate right in the middle.
Oh, here. Here?
No,
No,
not
where?
the boat, like in the water,
Here
in the
or here?
middle. Yeah,
In
that one.
this one? Okay. Oh, the middle of the picture. I thought you meant the middle of the boat. Okay, I see.
You move a little to the right. You go down a
Looks like
bit more.
fish, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Looks like dead fish, right? That floated to the top. Could be. Could be. Maybe over here also. I don't know. But for sure, fish couldn't live that long in this filthy, toxic environment. And it's the same thing for human beings. When we live in a toxic environment where there's nothing but crime and filthy words, and people are just cussing and fussing at each other all the time, and people are looking to hurt people. As soon as they come out of the house, they got a mean face, like Ice Cube, that makes a toxic mind. And a toxic mind will become an amoral mind. And the amoral mind is just like this picture that you're describing right now. This is what some people look like mentally and emotionally, right there. And it ain't cute. I don't care what people think. People who come out the house looking for crime, looking to beat up somebody or to hurt somebody or to steal something from somebody or to disrespect their parents and their grandparents who have been raising them and changing their dirty diapers all their life, right? And they start disrespecting those people. This is the kind of mind that they are developing. Toxic, poisonous, all right? So we're about to make some connections between the emotions and the morals. So we're going to go through one more piece of this, and then we're going to save the rest for next week. I like this part here. Go for it.
Water as an elemental force is receptive, does not force anything to accept its will. Water has no will. It flows through the path of least resistance. Likewise, we should not force anyone to accept our emotional attitude. Everyone has a right to their own feelings. However, no one has the right to express their feelings, emote to anyone at any time under any circumstances. If they do so, they are most likely going to meet with resistance.
Okay, now let me explain that so you understand it better. Water as one of the 4 elements. What are the other 3 elements?
Oh, you taught me this before. Water, fire,
Yeah,
air,
yeah. One more.
and ground or
Yeah,
soil.
yeah, land or earth. Yeah, yep. So those are the 4. So water as one of those elemental forces is receptive. What does receptive mean before we look at the meaning?
Is it like, receive something?
Yep. So receive says, come on in, guys. Come on, welcome, right? Well, that's what water does. Water is receptive. How do we know? We just saw a picture of it. Look at what the water let in. It didn't ask for it, but when it came in, it didn't stop it, right? The water will not stop you from littering.
It will pick the path of least resistance, and this is least resistance so far.
Go ahead, MAHDI. That's what I'm talking about. All right, let's keep going now. So water is receptive. Now, is fire receptive?
Not unless it's fuel.
All right, good point. If I stuck my hand in fire, is
No, it would burn.
that's right. It's you can't just put that in me without some consequence, right? But water, you can float a boat, you can float a steam liner in water, and the water will receive it because water is receptive, right? Now, this is a major lesson that we're learning about emotions. Remember, we're talking about water and emotion and what they have in common. So if water is receptive, it's also saying that emotions are receptive. We receive things emotionally, even things we don't like. We receive them emotionally. And here's how you know, because even things that you don't like, your face might protest against it. So that means that you were still impacted by it. Even if you don't like it, you still responded to it. And if you responded to it, it means that it had an impact upon you, just like that filth had an impact upon the water. And I think if the water was like a human life form and you ask the water, do you like all of this filth and grime and spoilage? The water would say, no, if I had a choice, I wouldn't take. But the nature of the water, as Allah created it, is to be receptive. And Allah just trusts the human being to do the right thing. And when human beings don't do the right thing, this kind of filth becomes the result. Okay, so it's receptive. It does not force anything to accept its will because water has no will. Fire has a will. I will burn you up if you touch me. Or if you throw something in me, I will send you back some ashes. Fire has a will. Even air, if you get strong enough wind, the wind is going to show you that it also has will, and it'll take that big old tree, rip it out of the ground and throw it across the street or, some other neighborhood. tornadoes, hurricanes, all of those things. They'll pick up a cow, put it in the next farm, through the air, So those elements do have their own will. Even the ground, you put a seed in there, it's going to give you back what it wants you to have based on what you put in it. So even the ground has a will. But only one of those four elements that do not have a will is water. It bends to your wishes. Okay. And as you said, it takes the path of least resistance. So what is that saying about our emotions? It's saying that we should be like water and not force. See, the water is not forcing you to do anything, actually. It's inviting you, it's receiving you. So because it's receiving you, you shouldn't mistreat the water. The water is needed for life. So don't mistreat the thing that Allah created for your very survival, right? And He created your emotions for your mental survival so that you don't lose your mind. He gave you emotions so that you don't feel hard-hearted or unappreciative. Yeah, my auntie did that for me. What did you say? Thank you to her? No, well, for what? She's supposed to do stuff for me. If you're feeling like that, that's when your emotions become contaminated water. But if you show appreciation, oh, auntie, I didn't know you were going to buy me this birthday gift. I didn't even know you were coming over today. Oh, yeah, we're going to give you a little surprise, bring you a little birthday cake. And oh, auntie, that's why I love you so much and I miss you. Please, you need to come over more. See, when you treat your auntie like that, that's you keeping your water clean and flowing and moving. See, that energy in you, that emotion is constantly moving. And as long as you're moving, you're going to eventually take whatever little bits of, stuff that ain't supposed to be in there and eventually send it out to shore. You got that?
Mhm.
So we don't force how we feel on anybody else. We're receptive, but we don't force how, because we don't like this person in the class, we don't go around trying to get all our friends to not like that same person in the class. Johnny, yeah, don't hang out with Johnny. Why not? Because I don't like him. Oh, okay. Well, that's you. You don't like him. I get along with Johnny. So don't, if you try to force somebody else to do what you do, you're not acting in the best interest of your emotions. Your emotions are not supposed to force somebody else in a direction that they don't want to go in. Okay.
Mhm.
So everyone has a right to their own feelings. Remember, feelings are created by what? What creates feelings?
The thoughts.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So everybody's entitled to their own feelings based on their thoughts. You can be thinking about anything. I don't have to know about it, right? But no one has a right to express their feelings, meaning to emote their feelings to anyone at any time under any circumstances. So what am I saying here? Lastly, I'm saying that even though I feel a certain way, I don't have a right to put that on somebody else and to try to make you feel the way I feel or to make you not feel the way I don't feel. I don't have a right to do that. Everybody has a right to their own feelings, but nobody has a right to try to make you feel like they feel under any circumstances. You can tell them how you feel, but don't do it with the expectation that they're going to feel like you feel when you're finished. There's empathy and then there's sympathy. Those are your two homework words, your homework words. Sympathy and empathy. I want to know the difference between the two. Write them down. That's your only homework question for this week. And spell it out for me when you spell it, both of them. The difference between
Good.
All right. Spell those two words out for me.
SYMPATHY.
Good. And the second one.
EMPATHY.
Very good. So both of those words have what word in them in common?
Empathy.
Okay.
Path.
There you go. Path. So those are two paths that you can take. Got that?
Mm-hmm.
Sympathy, that's one path. Empathy is another path. So that's what we're going to talk about next week when we come together. And the way that you know for sure, that you're not doing the correct emotional thing is because you're getting resistance. You have a difference, a political difference, an economic difference. That's when you get older, of course, you'll have those, right? Or you have a religious difference with there are people fighting major wars right now and have done so for thousands of years because somebody else refuses to believe in their religion or in their God, whatever the way they see that, right? Well, I believe in Jesus Christ as the Lord, and well, I believe in Allah as the Lord, and well, I believe in Buddha, he's the Lord. And people have fought and killed each other for generations just because somebody else believed something different. And the person who was in front of them didn't want to accept how they felt, how they, what their emotions were towards their religion. And therefore they said, well, he doesn't deserve to live on the same earth with me, breathing the air that my God created for me. So I'm going to eliminate him. That's foolish and it's stupid.
And it's amoral.
It is absolutely amoral and it's primitive. So that resistance right there is the resistance that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about resistance to something that you shouldn't be doing. Somebody tries to get you to not to do something you shouldn't be doing and you resist. That's different. I'm talking about trying to force your opinion on somebody else who just for whatever reason at that time, they don't want to hear it.
Imposing.
That's the correct word again, imposing. It becomes an imposition. Okay. So with that said, this is where we're going to pick up. Let me just draw a line here so we'll know how to flow next time around. And one moment. Stop that. Any last words you want to share with your YouTube listeners? And we're going to be on a few other sites. One of them is called rumble.com. All right. So we're going to be stretching out a little bit. And I don't know if you've gotten a chance to see some of the other children that I'm teaching now, but they have their videos up on YouTube also if you want to take a quick peek at those. All right. But what do you have to say, if you have anything to say?
Be morally least resistant and goodbye.
Okay. Coolness. I like that. All right. Keep that word moral in your dictionary, in your mental dictionary. And there's one word that I want you to remember along with the word moral, and that's the word decent. That's decent. What we mean. Yeah, that's what we mean when we say moral. But just write that word down for yourself so you'll remember it. I may ask you that again next week. We're not just going to say moral because a lot of people have a lot of different meanings for moral. Sometimes they think going to war and killing other people is moral. It's the moral thing to do as an American or as a, the Pakistani or whatever. They think it's the moral thing to do to kill somebody who doesn't believe what we believe. But is that the decent thing to do?
No.
No. So then that's not truly moral. Morals will do for you what moving energetic waters do. It'll take all of the filth that has collected and move it out to shore and discard it, get rid of it. So with that said, I greet you in the greetings of peace, my friends. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
All right.